primary objective, successful. The views and opinions expressed on the show are those of the guest or host, and not necessarily those of the advertisers, networks, platforms, or stations. Warning that the content of the show may not be suitable for all audiences and that viewer discretion is advised. The show does not intend to provide medical, legal, or financial advice, and viewers or listeners should consult with a professional for making any decisions based on the information presented. Welcome to the Vixen'S Vault.
Welcome, everybody, to the Vixen'S Vault. Today's date is May the 6th, 2026. We are, hoofing it through 2026. Time is 9:02 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And I am coming at you from the wonderfully, horribly pollinated state of Florida, where every oak tree in the damn state has decided to let go of every form of pollen it could possibly manifest. It's like I literally have piles of pollen almost 8 inches thick in my yard. That is how much pollen we have. It is, and you can probably hear it in my sinuses. It is, I am very sensitive to oak pollen, specifically. And it's not just the oak pollen. We've got mushrooms coming up. And, of course, we had like a small cold front go through over the weekend, which caused it to go down to the low 60s at night. And, everything was like, oh, no, we must pollinate again. The return of the heat. We shall now again pollinate. I'm like, really? Even my chickens, we must lose our feathers again. It got a little cold, so we're just going to remolt. Like, no, stop that. Stop. But again, it's just like bipolar weather as usual. Welcome to Florida. I am a little concerned, though, Dave, because I know I've been watching the meteorologists, and they're all, El Nino, yay, oh no, but yay. El Nino means less hurricanes. Yeah. And then I'm looking at the hurricane trackers, which are already tracking storms at the bottom of the Caribbean. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. The water is hotter than normal, A. Yeah. B, that means that the hurricanes are going to form a lot closer to us, which is not good, and be much stronger.
Did you get any rain over the weekend?
Mm-hmm. We got drenched. We got drenched.
We only had a half inch up here where I'm at in the woods, so yeah.
And Dave, I got to tell you, it was because where I'm at, of course, it's very rural. A lot of trees, but there's not buildings. So, the expression "rolling thunder."
Yeah. I heard it.
Very true here. And I got to tell you, this was like a. I said to Robbie, this was the strangest rolling thunder. I mean, it was acoustically bouncing everywhere, and it sounded almost metallic. I'm like, that is some creepy thunder. I mean, just crazy. But the lightning, I was happy to see. Firefighters were not happy to see it. I was happy to see it. But welcome to Florida. It's been just crazy weather-wise. And as I was talking about on Jack's show, we actually had skunk ape sightings last week in Polk County.
Really?
Yep, in Polk County again. Yep.
Where was this at?
Well, I was explaining it on Jack's shows. People don't realize.
Where was the sighting at? Where was the sighting
It was in Polk County, in Jody Grudd. Yeah, in Judd's territory, Grady Judd. And I think it's funny because it made me go look a few things up, and I was on Jack's show. I was saying that Florida is actually number 3 in the country for Bigfoot sightings.
Oh,
wow!
We are literally number 3, and statistically speaking, it doesn't make sense because most Bigfoot sightings get debunked with the correlation to black bears, and we do have a black bear population here.
Yep, huge.
But no, it's not that big. It's actually they say it's about 4,000 black bears.
Oh, that's a lot.
It is, but usually Bigfoot sightings pair one sighting to approximately 1,000 black bears, if you're going to go statistically speaking. But in Florida, we only have 4,000 black bears, but we've had almost 400 Bigfoot sightings. So it's a massive anomaly, where it's like a really big anomaly between the sightings, and it's hard to explain. You know, and I was saying to Mark, I myself have smelled what they say is whatever it is, but the reason we call it skunk ape down here. And I can tell you, it is one rank, horrific smell. It is not a skunk. I know what skunks smell like. I mean, we have them down here as well as up in the north. But it smells like a skunk that died and continued to evacuate its gland and mix that all together, and that's what it smells like. It's a horrible, horrible smell. And it usually, like, if it's a dead animal, you know how it works. You go through the smell, but the further away, the lighter the smell gets. It doesn't. This is a scent that just, no matter what you do, you could go a mile and you're still smelling it.
Oh my God.
It is horrible. Horrible.
Those molecules just stick to your nose, huh?
Yeah. You remember, it's like you almost want to take, you almost wish you were like a coroner wannabe and you had like a little bit of ammonia in your pocket. You could just let that smell out of your nostrils.
Where's that Vicks vapor rub?
Who knew, right? Who knew? But again, I'm waiting, guys. I am waiting. I do have a guest coming in tonight.
Yeah, she's in here. She's in.
Soma, are you with us?
Yeah.
I'm here. Yes.
There she is.
Hello.
I want to make. Okay, to the panel and to the listening audience, I want to introduce Soma. Actually, I want you to introduce yourself because I know you by your public name, and I don't know if that's how you want to be introduced. Introduce yourself to everybody as to how you want to be known. Oh, are you there?
Dear Lord, don't
I'm here.
stump her.
Sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
here.
That's okay.
I am
Okay.
Soma Ara. I am a Pleiadian channel and contactee since childhood.
Now, I want you, because again, there's a lot of us that are going to I find it very, you know that, Soma. I spent a whole weekend with you, and literally, I think half a day walking with our luggage around a hotel, trying to figure out where our rooms were. And it was awesome, because we bonded as we dragged our luggage and looked for where we were going. But
yeah, we really did.
We really did. We really, really, really did bond. It was really cool, because
it was quite special.
It really was. I know. But I want you to explain to my audience, because again, I met Soma at the Full Disclosure Now conference over the summer in 2025, which was an incredible experience. You guys know I have spoken about it many times on the show. I truly enjoyed it. I truly enjoyed the people I met, but Soma above everybody. For some reason, I don't know what it was. It was like this. In fact, even when Raphael joined me and I introduced her, I had told Raphael all about her, because I was like, it was like this glue. It was the strangest thing. Like, we met. I said, we were both kind of lost. I said, and we just hit it off and spent as much time as we could together. I mean, it was really wonderful. But I want you to tell everybody your backstory, because again, you know, we hear about people who say, oh, I'm a Pleiadian, I'm this, or I'm a super soldier, and half the time people roll their eyes, but they don't know the backstory that comes with it. That makes it the backstory is a very powerful tool, and it's something that gives credit in many ways and credence to what you believe and what you believe has happened to this point, what you think is coming. So I'm going to actually give you space, and I'm just going to remind you, I will cut you off at about 24 minutes after, because I have to take us out to break, but I want you to go ahead and just explain to people, who are you? What is your background story? What led you to this?
That is, sometimes even I roll my eyes when people say they are a channel or a starseed. Especially as time has gone on, there seems to be an influx of even young people. There seems to be an influx of young people on social media that are starseeds, and it's become somewhat of a trend to be a starseed and a Pleiadian contact. I won't say contactee, but there's a lot of BS out there, Nancy. You know that.
Yes, I do.
So, yeah, especially in the spiritual or UFO community, and I get it. Like, I really do get it. However, I had a very I don't know where to begin with that. My childhood was very unusual, very different, very abnormal, very unique, very sacred, very traumatic. I had a lot of trauma as a child, and I left my body and I connected to the Pleiadians very clearly, very vividly. I left my body because I couldn't breathe. I had a man laying on top of me and I couldn't breathe. And I was 8 years old and I was a skinny little thing, underfed, undernourished, alcoholic mother, poverty, all of that. And I left my body, and I didn't know who they were at the time, but I actually went up to the left-hand side of the room and connected to the Pleiadians, and I didn't know who they were. And they gave me a message saying that this would only last a few moments or a few seconds, and I would be okay. And then I was back in my body, and my brother was in the room pulling the man off me. And my whole childhood, I was really born awake. I remember we left South Africa and we arrived in Ireland, and I remember the extremity of the going from the heat to the cold, and especially when we were in the UK for a while, and I hated it. I hated the cold.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I've got to tell you real quick. Mark Edworthy, you might see him on the panel there. Mark is in England, and I tell him, Mark, we're bringing on a boat buddy on for you. It's like someone's in Ireland.
Yes, just across the water.
Yeah, just across the water. It's a bit of a smaller pond than where it is over here, which is... How long was your flight to get here? Because Selma actually she was here in basically, where were we? St. Pete Beach, which is about 30 minutes south of me. So that's a heck of a flight.
Yes, it was. But I took 3 weeks off, almost a month off, to be in Florida because so I took time off. But going back to my childhood, Nancy, it was really, it was really such a huge training ground. When we moved from South Africa to Ireland, I began to instantly connect with nature spirits and tree spirits and my guides, and I always was able to see very clearly auras and spirits and like the whole thing. I was just a child that was wide awake psychically with mediumship, like the whole works. And I remember seeing auras, and it was, looking back, it was a great training ground. And from the age of 8 up until about 11, it was just such a great training ground. But then at the age of 12, I'd gone through a lot of trauma, and I'd been raped by my cousin and actually became pregnant. And And I got to the point I just didn't want to be on the earth anymore. I was really done. And at this point, I still wasn't aware that it was the Pleiadians that I was connected to and being given downloads and transmissions and all of that. I'm not explaining very well. I'm so sorry.
No, but you are, because it's connected to a trauma. And the thing is, I'm thinking to myself, you tuned into your gift because you were hyper situationally aware because of the trauma that was occurring on you, but that was necessary for you to wake up to who you are now. I always say that to people. You go through things for a reason, as horrible as they are. There's always a reason behind it, and you can either make that positive, or you can choose to dwell in it and make it negative. You chose to make it positive. So I think that and that's why we got along so well, because I was able to read you very easily.
Yes, I did. And the reason I made it so positive is because I got to the point where I was 12 and I just wanted out. I didn't want to speak to anyone. I didn't want to know anything. I didn't want to be around anyone. I just wanted to leave the earth plane, really. And then I was laying on my mattress in my bedroom. And because of the experience I had, I'll never forget the layout of the room. It's kind of etched in my mind. And I left. I was sobbing. I was snotty. I was just sobbing my heart out, wanting to leave. And I fell asleep. I actually left my body, and I went up to the corner of the room above the door. There was a door on the right-hand side, and I went up to the corner, and I left my body, and I connected to Yeshua, or Jesus, came to me, and took me on a very long journey for about 3 or 4 hours, and it took me on a whole experience of showing me and teaching me in that space of 3 or 4 hours of a deeper understanding of my situation, because I got to my end point. Like, I was done, and I had decided that as soon as, when I fell asleep, so to speak, when I was done, I was going to take tablets. And then in that experience with Jesus, he connected with me, and I was out of body on the astral. And he took me on a very long journey for about 3 or 4 hours and showed me my soul, part of my soul mission and my purpose and why I was here, and that there was a deeper understanding that this was perfect. It was a great teaching for me. And then he moved on. When he understood I got that of my soul purpose, he moved on to some of the bigger humanity collective lessons. And when I came back, I was blissful, totally blissful. And so for that reason, I always knew that it was a real experience. I never doubted it, because it took me into such a blissful state for about 4 weeks. And then that bliss gradually ebbed away. And I have other parts of my backstory, because then after that experience, I was deeply connected to the Pleiadians from that point on. And then I would try to go to school, secondary school at that point. And every time I went, and it was a long journey, it was a real palaver to actually get to school. Because it was 2 buses, and it was an hour away. It was half an hour on each bus. And my mum was an alcoholic and not in a good state of mind. And it would take me forever to beg her to give me the bus fare to get there. And we were very poor, and we never had any money. So, it would take me an hour just to get the bus fare from her. And I don't know what she was thinking, but anyway, so the times I did manage to actually get there, there was a wall of energy in front of me where I could not enter the school gates. And these were huge black school gates. They were wrought iron, and they were like, I don't know, just huge gates. And
like Harry Potter? Like the Harry Potter gates at Hogwarts?
Yes. Actually, yes, they were like that. They were like that. And I would be held in this vortex of energy, and I would not be allowed to move. And I never understood it. But later on, they had told me, word for word, later on, they said, we did not allow you to enter the school system because you would have been lost to us. So then I understood, what was going on. But that was years later that they actually said that to me. So from the age of 12 to 16, after that experience, I was just so blissful. It really, my world changed overnight. My internal world, and yet everything on the outside was still the same. I was still in the same environment, the everything. And I stayed at home. That was really a Kundalini awakening for me. I stayed at home and I read all the books I could find, and I was meditating on spiritual books. I was reading Edgar Cayce and the likes of him from the age of 12 to 16, and I just stayed in my room and I meditated. I didn't know it was called meditation. And I would just be reading these books and meditating and receiving transmissions and downloads from the Pleiadians and Ashtar specifically. And then eventually on my 16th birthday, I left home because it wasn't a good environment for me. I didn't want to be there. I knew that there was more to life than the energy, it was more the energy I grew up in that I found really affected me. The dysfunction, the drama, the poverty, the alcohol, the violence.
The muck. I call it the muck.
The muck.
Yep.
So when I say I have a whole backstory, that is a huge part of it. I was contacted from a very young age, but it was through trauma. And then later on, my story is kind of very back to front, but I'll just add, I know that time's running on, but I'll just add that I then went on. So I did a period in my life where I was from 17 to about 24, where I really got involved in drugs and I was trying to numb a lot of pain. And then I had a fit where I really hurt my chin. I whacked my chin and bit my tongue while I was fitting one day alone in a bathroom. And it was at that point I thought, okay, Carol, now I have to get myself cleaned up. And then I did, and I became involved I discovered I could do natural healing, and I got very involved in spiritualism and the spiritualist church in the UK. And
okay, I gotta cut you off real quick. I gotta take us out to break. I'm so sorry, Soma. I know you were trying to get it in there. When we return, I'm actually going to have Soma continue, but I gotta cut it to a hard break because we already went over, and Mark's going to kill me. Hang in there, guys. We'll return in a few moments with the Vixen's Vault.
All right, we're on radio break, and we did come in a little late, so that's fine.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Guys, I want to introduce y'all to Soma. I have to tell you, Vicky and Soma, you two remind me of each other. And I can't tell you how many ways. And it's mainly it's going to surprise you both when I say this. Because I know you both think you have tempers, which is funny. You two are some of the gentlest souls I have ever met in my life. When I say gentle aura, gentle soul, that does not mean you don't have a temper sometimes, and you don't. That's not what that means. That means your soul is smooth. It is gentle. And I think you both have been through tremendous trauma in your life. So it's kind of amazing to me I respect the shit out of both of you, because it is not easy to be the people you are after you've gone through what both of you have gone through. So I got to tell you, I was very excited, Soma, to bring you on, to have you meet Vic, because Vic is awesomeness. Dave Campione, Dave's family goes way back into ufology. Mark, so Mark is our, how do we put this?
Fabio.
Mark is our standards. He's our standard Fabio skeptic. And I love him, wouldn't have it any other way. He brings a lot of really good points to the show. You got to understand, too, I listen, like you and I spent a weekend together, Selma. We respected the hell out of each other. You were there when Veronica called me AI, and it was funny as all hell because I was like, excuse me, what? What? And you were eating your cheesecake. You were eating your cheesecake that you had been craving all day. Where's the cake? I want the cake. Where's the cake? That was so funny. But it was literally, I mean, she called me AI. Do you know I say that on the show all the time? I got called AI, and when she said that, it hit me like a ton of bricks because I was like, oh, shit. She's right. Okay, that's kind of freaky right now. Whoopsie. Now, what's really interesting is I recently, in a Telegram chat with somebody who's not involved with the paranormal at all, this person called me a mentat, which is a reference to a mentat, which is a reference to Dune, and it is basically a human AI. And it gave me goosebumps. I was like, holy crap. And he goes, what? I was like,
it's because of your total recall memory.
Total recall, dude.
All right.
But it was crazy.
At least they're being nice and not calling you a slee stack like Raphael.
No, okay. No, and Larry.
Larry calls you a slee stack. I haven't seen Larry in the chat. I'm wondering what happened to him.
Hold on, Mark. Hold on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I've been called worse.
I'm sure we all have, but hey.
Oh, Selma, God, I love you. Oh, and you're so sweet. That's the thing. You're like Vicky. You get that sweet little. I gotta tell you, see the blush on her face right now? That's why she went through the whole, like, the sweet little blush.
Well, you don't know how many months, Soma, that we've heard about you. Oh, we're going to get her in. We're going to get her in. I'm going to get her in. Here you are. Oh. Ta-da. 30 seconds.
No. Ta-da. Yeah, I mean, who's Vicky? And Mark, you look so familiar. I've seen you. I know you. I do know Mark.
Mark Edwards?
Yes.
Which one?
Which
house?
Yeah, Watashik. That's me. Yeah. And here's our countdown, and no more comments on that. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you are live and on the radio side once again right now.
And we're back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Vixen's Vault. Wow, that was a tongue twister. Even I am not going to try again. I'd like to welcome everybody back to the show. It is 9:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on the nose, Wednesday, May the 6th, 2026. Kind of a cool day. In fact, I know I heard May the 4th be with you all day, May 4th. I was like, really? I'm going to reach through my internet and punch somebody if they say that again. But today was, I believe, Revenge of the 6th. I'm like, okay, stop. Enough already. Please, I've had it. No more Star Wars inferences. That being said, I heard Lucas actually was talking about his alien experiences again. He's an interesting character, by the way, to research. If you start actually looking into some of his beliefs and some of the things he has stated, yeah, it's kind of cool. Raphael has joined us. He was not with us the last half an hour. Otherwise, I have my usual cast of characters, Mr. Raphael Martinez, Mr. Mark Edwardy, Ms. Vicky Bass, Mr. David Capioni, and of course, Mark Watashik, whose last name I can't pronounce, but yes, everybody, it took me years. Selma, just know this. It took me over a decade to actually pronounce his name correctly. I would just call him Producer Mark, because I could never pronounce his last name correctly. Do not feel bad when you master it. I think we all do, at least once. And of course, tonight I have my special guest, Soma, who near and dear to my heart. So happy to have her on. And thank you for staying up, actually taking a nap, but staying up to do the show with us. I'm really, really, really happy to have you on. I want you to continue. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Nancy. I'm delighted to be here. And, you know, when we met at the conference, I really felt that we've had past life together. And that's why the connection was instant. It was just there instant. It was more of a remembrance, a recognition. And it's a very, I feel that for me, you have a very motherly energy. So I value those connections more than anything.
I felt like sisterly with you. I felt like you were a sister. Like I will say, like a younger sister. Like I did feel very protective of you. And actually, Raphael, when he met you, same exact reaction. Felt very protective of you. And it's probably because you're such a sweet little thing. You really are. But you're very. I don't know. I think I just come on stronger than you do. But it was a delightful time for me. I really enjoyed it, and I felt like you felt kind of out of water a little bit, and that's uncomfortable. You're in a strange country, and we are wacky here, and you're on the beach where the wackiest of the wacky actually tend to hang out and drink alcohol in the middle of the summer in heat, which is never a good thing.
Nope, that's never a good thing.
Nope.
And
you had super soldiers there that were flagging military aircraft as they flew over on the beach. And, you know, that's a little uncomfortable, too. So let's just...
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was going on at the conference. But, behind the scenes as well. There was a lot of stuff.
Drama. Drama.
Yes. Yeah, so it was a good experience for me because I learned a lot. I've actually taken almost a year to kind of process a lot of what I learned. I was very much when I was there. I was very much in a 5D energy. It was very quiet, very kind of reserved, and kind of processing a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff happening energetically there for me, and I think everyone. But going back to my childhood, I was one of those children also, alongside everything, that remembered their past lives, or some of them. And I did remember being in Native America, and like that whole experience is another story, but so then going up to when I was in my early 20s, I got into the spiritualist church and began to develop mediumship for a good 10 years. And this, like weekly, going to development group wherever I lived, because I have moved around quite a bit in my years. And then I went into Buddhism
nice.
For a good 5 years. And then I went into shamanism, and it was really when I got into shamanism, I became a Buddhist. I'd shaved my hair off. I was on the verge of becoming an Annie, a Buddhist nun, and I didn't. Instead of doing that, I went to Nepal and volunteered for a couple of years in a soup kitchen. And there I met a Buddhist monk, a Tibetan Buddhist monk, who I ended up marrying. And then we moved back to the UK. And then that turned out to be just not a very nice experience, a real shit show, to be honest. And I realized that I had to not just leave him, but leave the whole Buddhist family that I was involved in. And they really were family. And that was very painful for me because it was my whole world at the time. So I left there. And then whole nother chapter, once I left there, I moved back to Ireland. That is the whole other chapter that really began for me. because I left him and I was very depressed and moved to Ireland. And there things really began to start happening for me very quickly. I'd moved into a very remote area of Ireland that was on the beach, Lewisburg in County Mayo, a stunning place. And I was renting this house, very old house, very run down, big house. And I rented it because of the area. It was a minute walk from the beach and it was stunning. And I needed peace at that time. So I did that. And then I was sent an email from a guy I thought was crazy at the time. But he was Joshua Shapiro. And I didn't know who he was at the time. But he sent me an email.
I know Josh very well.
Yes, amazing guy. But at the time, I didn't know anyone in the field. And I certainly didn't know who he was. But he sent me an email out of the blue saying, "Hi, I got your name." He didn't even mention his name or who he was, but he said, "Hi, I got your name from the Pleiadians, and I think we should work together." So I just put kind of, yeah, okay, that's great, and I'll see you later type of energy. And within 4 days, I was fully channeling the Pleiadians because of his email. He opened a door for me. And because I'd been doing mediumship and the whole thing for so long, I was able to see them behind me, and it was Ashtar that turned up behind me in my center of my back, and then behind him there was rows of other Pleiadian beings, and the first thing Ashtar said to me was, "Hi," or "Hello, I am Ashtar, Pleiadian commander," and that just opened doors for me. I'm so grateful to Joshua. He's such an integral part of my story. And then I began to channel the Pleiadians then, having forgotten most of my childhood. I didn't remember it. I didn't remember the first time I connected to them as a child when I was 8, that I consciously remembered. I didn't remember it consciously. So then I began to do shamanism alongside the channeling and the downloads and transmissions. And I was writing my book at the time that I always only intended to write about my childhood stories. But then the Pleiadians, alongside the same time, the Pleiadians began to channel. So I started to take dictation, and that is in my first book. And then I began to do shamanism in Galway, in Ireland, with a really good shaman. He's one of the best in Ireland, and one of the best I've met. And he helped me to unlock a lot of childhood memories, and that is also in the book. And so my story is kind of very back to front. But Paul O'Halloran, my shaman in Ireland, was also an integral part for me, because for about 4 years I was questioning myself, and I had this sentence that I would say over and over again that went something like, "Who in their right mind is going to believe that I am channeling the Pleiadians?" So going back to what you said at the beginning, sometimes I roll my eyes when people say they're a Pleiadian starseed or they're channeling, because like my whole life is rolled up, is integral into being a Pleiadian channel. And one of the experiences, actually, Nancy, and I'll just share this and then I'll wrap it up, because I know other people want to speak and share, but one of my experiences with Paul was during a ayahuasca. One of the weekends we did seemed to be more profound than the others. And we were all laying in his lounge. He had this big, beautiful house in Galway, and we were laying on the floor in the lounge, and we were doing ayahuasca, and we were doing sacred ceremony and drumming, and most of us were leaving our body during this session at the weekend. And I left my body, and I went up to I was looking at the night sky. I was up there somewhere, and I was looking at the night sky, and I was with one of my Native American guides that I call Many Moons, and I was being shown that I not only connected to them as a child, but it goes into past lives with them, where that's where I came from. So I just wanted to share that as well. So, but Paul was very integral as well in my learning and understanding of who I am, where I come from, and some of my past lives, and my deep connection to the Pleiades. So that's, kind of the crux of my story.
I have a question for you. Okay. So in the beginning, you went on, you had your experience as a child where you were broken. You were at your wit's end. You were done. And I'm gonna say it very honestly and openly. You were contemplating suicide because you were done with this particular presence and time. You were done. And you said you had a dream where Yeshua, where Jesus accompanied you on a 4-hour journey, and you walked and you talked. How does that work with the Pleiadians? I've always kind of questioned that, because Christianity is very, it depends on who you talk to, really, which belief system in Christianity. But generally speaking, they're not so hot on the whole Yeshua Pleiadian track. How does that work for you? Because I know you're a true believer, and I have absolute respect for that. How does it work for you?
Well, there's a couple of things there that's really lighting me up and making me smile and elevating my energy. So I've come to understand that Jesus is Pleiadian, was Pleiadian, that his mum was human, and that his father was Pleiadian, or Pleiadian hybrid, but his father was not human. And I've also come to understand that, I was raised Catholic, but I have a deep love of Jesus, and it wasn't just a dream. It was actually an out of
reality. Yeah.
Yes, it was an astral experience, an out of body experience that I had with him. So I absolutely love Jesus, and I do channel him, not as often as I do the Pleiadians, but I've come to understand that they are one and the same, which is why my connection to both of them is so deep. And it's interesting because what's coming up is the Essenes, and I don't know if you've explored that lifetime, but that would be interesting. But Jesus is not the Jesus in the Bible.
No, I do. It's so funny because I don't have to have the faith that others have to know that there's been a misrepresentation here. Probably not going to be a good thing if a second coming really happens. It probably is not going to play well. Just putting that out there.
Well, I don't think it's a return of a physical Yeshua or Christ or Jesus. I think it's an energetic shift back into that heart Christ consciousness. That's really what's happening on the planet at the moment. And the darkness is being cleared and leaving.
I don't disagree with that. I do agree with you completely on that, actually. But I will say, like I said, if you start digging into like the Gnostic writings, the Gnostic beliefs, which are the writings that immediately preceded the death of Christ, it describes a very different character than what you are reading in the New Testament, King James Version, and so on and so forth. Very, very different individual than what you read about in the Bible. And not a scary thing. Go ahead.
What you both saying at this moment is interesting because I saw on YouTube a British political commentator earlier today, or yesterday now, as far as it comes on, who was talking about some American official talking about the upcoming so-called UFO sightings and reports and stuff, and talking about how this official is stated that this will affect Christians much more than it will affect any other religion.
And they had sent out letters to different church leaders, and that's actually true. They did. Multiple letters to multiple heads of church warning them to prepare their congregations.
Well, and that was...
Yeah.
Well, and like I've always been talking about Dr. Heiser and how he went back. He is that antiquities, the ancient language specialist. He's a theologian. He was born again Christian. He was, and he talked about all these things, and he wasn't afraid to present or put his information out there, kind of rounding out the information, say for sake of argument, Protestants in America, or I think they would probably be the only ones who would pay attention. But that in order to prepare us for what you're going to be talking about, I just had a question. Do you know Simon Parks? Yeah, you do? Okay. And that's how I had heard him first, him and Charlie, and that's how I kind of got in there. But I was wondering if, you talked to Simon. He seems like a really, really good guy. Really, his heart is in such a right place. I mean, I'm not going to cast any doubts on what he's saying or anything, but it will make it messy for the Protestants. I mean, because we don't have...
not just the Protestants, the Catholics. It's going to make it real messy for the Catholics, let me tell you. But there again, I think the last several choices of Pope in the Roman Catholic Church are kind of pre-setting up. Like, the American Catholics are already going, what is going on?
What?
They're like, why? What is happening right now? We don't know that guy. And that's actually a large portion of the American Catholic Church. It's not going well for the Vatican.
And that's a good thing.
Yes, it is. It needs to happen because I think, again, in preparation, there's going to be a comeuppance. And how many times have you guys heard me say that? There's going to be a very large comeuppance. And it's going to really knock some very powerful institutions flat on their ass, straight into the ground, and most likely straight into hell. Because they have been abusing everything. Go ahead, Soma.
Thank you, Nancy.
I was just going to say, me being me, and obviously we haven't got any information as yet, but I'm just going to remain somewhat skeptical at this moment.
Of course, that's what we're here for, Mark. You are our voice of reason. And I know Ralphie's very skeptical too, but that's a good thing. But it's not... Just as much as you can jump into the skeptic skin, you also have to jump into the believer's skin. You have to see it from all angles. You really do. Because there's no way to be balanced in how you approach things unless you can see it from all angles. I've always said that. Learn to stand in somebody else's shoes and view it and do it without derision. Just view it in innocence from their shoes and see where that leaves you. And can you find a path to follow through their words? As hard as it is, can you see a path? And I always think, we believe stupider shit, excuse the expression, based off less information than we do things like this. And it is the absolute truth. We give credit to people and accolades and actually scholarships and all sorts of, attributions of scholarly behavior, and they're complete morons. Literally, you couldn't prove a damn thing they said without... literally, look at Anthony Fauci would probably be my favorite example of that. Okay? The man literally should never have been in the position he was in. Ever. Nope. And yet, he was. And yet, an entire world listened to him. And yep, now they're paying the price of that. But we would listen to somebody like that over somebody who's giving you very clear, concise information to the best of their memory. There's nothing behind it that they gain from. When people like Soma come forward, and I was very honest with Soma when I met, because she kept saying, I know I've met you before. I know I have. She's like, I'm telling you. And she would look me dead in the eye. Like, really? Seriously, dead in the eye. I know I've met you before. I was like, I don't think I'm a Pleiadian. My exact words. I don't know if I buy into all that. I don't think I'm Pleiadian. I don't know what I am. I just know I'm not normal. But I always thought it was a frequency thing. Like, my genetics were receiving and translating frequency different than a lot of other people. But I think it's genetic. I think it goes into my history. I don't know if I'm Pleiadian. If I am, nobody's knocked on my head and said, yo, you're one of us. So I'm all good, but I can see where she's coming from. And I can tell you, I myself have a familiar. And it's something that people who know me, going way back, know this for a fact, because it tends to protect me sometimes. But his name is Azrael. And when she talks about the shadow behind her, he is something that bends darkness. He is something, I always say that, when he's present, it's like the Matrix. Your whole world goes off kilter. It's like the air gets sucked out of the environment and everything bends. Time and space. Whatever he is, he's incredibly strong and he's incredibly ancient. And he's incredibly mischievous. So, don't know. Could it be a Pleiadian? I can't say it's not. I couldn't tell you what it is, but I can tell you it's real, and I can tell you other people have been affected by it. So, yeah, you don't know where you stand with some of these things. It's hard. Being skeptical is a beautiful thing, because sometimes skepticism is actually what leads you to that whole Sherlock Holmes conclusion, which is, you know what, sometimes it's the only evidence that you're left with, and there's no way to discount it, no matter how unbelievable it is. That is your truth. So,
yeah, and there's such a divide going on, Nancy, at the moment on Earth between. I know that I'm not explaining myself very well this evening. I'm sorry.
You're doing fine.
But the divide since COVID, there's two kind of streams of people. There's those that are vaxxed and those that are unmaxed with an M.
That was creative.
That was cute.
The energy is
crazy.
It's crazy, and it's really shifting. We're really in a time of epic change on our planet. Epic change. We're really seeing a lot of dark stuff on our planet to do with the Catholic Church and the whole, it goes right into the whole satanic blood, adrenochrome, satanic rituals with the worst things you could imagine. And the divide is becoming bigger, and there seems to be more dark on the planet, but actually there isn't. It's just that there's more light coming in that is exposing the dark, and that light is Christ consciousness. Everything and everything has been inverted. Everything has been kind of flipped on its side. One of the things they said to me years ago when they first began to consciously channel with me, and that was around 2009, just after I was sent an email from Joshua. One of the first things, the most profound things I think they've ever said to me.
Selma, I gotta cut you off. I'm so sorry. I know you had that sentence coming out of your mouth. I gotta take us out to a break. Listen, though, when we go to break, Mark, take us out. Go ahead, take us out. Because the call is going to end because we can only do hour sessions, but he's going to call us all right back.
We'll be right back after this, folks.
Yep. I don't want to lose you because I want you to continue your train of thought. But we have another hour to go, and you still have I know you still have so much more to get out, and you're doing a good job. I know you think you're not, but you are.
I'm going to let this room run out, and then when it does, I'll switch it back over.
He'll call us all back.
Thank you. Do I have time for coffee to go downstairs?
Yeah, it's a 10-minute break.
This is 10 minutes, so go ahead and go to the bathroom, get your coffee.
Yeah, I'm definitely put an IV in your arm here in a few minutes.
All right, Mark, should we all hang up now so you can just call us back and we can start, or should we wait?
Like I said, I'm going to let it run out, and then I'll recall from here.
All right, Selma, go ahead. You're good.
Yeah.
Where did Vicky go? Vicky hung up.
Yeah.
Vic! She's probably, because she doesn't want to get left behind. That's why. I know why she hung up.
Vicky's got ants in her pants. But anyways.
This would have been, Mark, such a good show for Roger to be on. Yep. That's what kills me, because of his battle with the Buddhists. Man.
Oh, my God.
Roger, what are you doing, brother? If you're listening, you ding-dong. Get back on Teams. Battle of the Buddhists. 9th. Come on. Let's go.
I don't know about that. I'm done with Teams. Oh, I'm sick of this. All these alerts and all these other stuff here. I'm done with this.
Well, and Teams sucks because he tried really hard to set up a group, but group Teams really sucks. It's very hard to retrieve the messages out of, and it's like in a totally separate area.
Well, unless you have a huge group anyways, it's, It's like some platforms where you have to be a king coming in before, you can even get recognized. You can't just build from nothing on some platforms. There are others you can, but I want it all now.
Well, the thing is he's got I
don't know. Mark, aren't you glad that you're not being interrupted so much and being harassed about your hair, flipping your hair? Such a great-looking guy you are, huh?
I've gotten Jamal as well. Tomorrow, Friday. Friday's episodes are extremely interesting. But yeah.
I did. You know what, though? I feel like Roger has got so much he wants to get out, so much information he wants to share, and it's hard for him because how do you do that when it's all of he went through years of not having that, and then suddenly he's got a way to.
Yep, and there we go, and we will be right back to connect once again for hour 2 of the Vixen'S Vault. Stick around, folks. More to come. And we may even do an after show tonight. You just never know. And there's David Campione already. Hey, David. Welcome back.
Hey, Mark. Yeah, when I come back on, my mic is muted. I forget about it all the time. You doing okay out there in Texas?
So far, so good.
Good. Storms, weather,
we've had
snow.
some rain here. I can't get Selma back in here for some reason.
She got up to get coffee, so she probably hasn't hung up yet.
Yeah,
she hung
up. She hung up, but
no, she still had her video
She
going.
went to get coffee.
Oh, she does?
Coffee.
Yeah, she had her video on.
You're going to need to message her and tell her to hang
up
and just rejoin.
Yeah. Because the last time she came in, I had a little box show up, and then I admitted her like I do with Rafi a lot.
Yeah. And I got
Parker Worthy's back.
I did hear from Roger. Well, he did post some stuff in Discord. I'll do Discord only for chat, but I don't do any VoIP there at all. I don't. It messes up my sound.
I really find Discord irritating
do what you need to
because
do.
Of the everyone tags and getting notifications every 5 seconds.
Oh, Discord? I was not down with Discord either. I was with Mark on that. Microsoft sucks, but Discord is the Wild Wild West.
Well, see, to me, I don't care about the 1 hour timer. To me, it helps me keep breaks on track.
Right. And we have a long break anyway at the top of the hour, so it fits.
Yeah, and everybody has a two-hour show has that big long break.
Yep.
Only Jack has that short one, and I don't have a timer when it's just me and him.
Right.
So, and
so even I got his
more
break.
Than two people, direct contact. Like when you and I were on earlier for Jack's show, no timer.
Yep. And it was easy to keep, like I said, I was very, very able to keep track of the time without a problem, call the break, wrap the show. No problem with timing on Jack's show at all.
No, it makes it really simple for him too. So.
Yep. And so, Vicky, what do you think of Soma?
He's got it down to a science. Look out. Is she back yet?
Vic. Yeah, she's on mute.
Oh.
Vicky.
Well, that Mark character, he isn't back yet. He's probably playing with his hair.
Actually making a coffee.
Making coffee, yeah, right. I know you English.
You're
probably making tea. It's gotta be like dark black tea or something like that.
Black coffee.
Not that I poke at our friends. Roger pokes.
Pretty sure we all poke at each other.
I'm gonna poke right back. All right. So.
I was gonna say, pretty sure we all poke at each other pretty evenly.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, if you poke too much, you might get pregnant. But anyways.
You know what, though? I'm really glad I asked her that question about the belief in Jesus, as well as, basically the Pleiadian.
I want to know Vicky's,
Vicky's on mute.
her opinion on this.
She's on mute. She's muted.
I know she's muted.
Vicky, pass.
I hope her eyes aren't rolling in the back of her head.
You understand that Arpad is probably sitting behind Vicky's device right now going, what is she doing? Yeah, Vicky's probably in the restroom, and Arpad is probably sitting there listening, thinking I'm absolutely out of my mind.
Come on in, Arpad.
Awesome. But, I mean, like I said, Soma is, when you meet her in person, and actually you can probably tell in the video, she is just a really sweet person.
Oh, boy, here we go.
That's her past.
As what?
That is her past life thing.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, when I was with her, there was definitely a connection there.
Yep.
There was a really strong connection that I could not explain.
Like me, you, Renee, and Lee.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Very hard to explain that.
We're all four connected somehow, some way, and Linda too. I can't remember what her last name is. The Zodiac girl.
Yep.
What's her last name?
Oh God, I don't remember.
Linda.
Holy crap!
My God, yeah, and she'll. 30 seconds, by the way.
There's Soma. Soma's back. She figured it out.
Welcome back.
Yay.
Yeah, just in time for the countdown.
Muted. She's on mute.
Look out, cats, dogs, and kids. Here it comes. 5, 4.
Soma, you're
3,
muted.
2, 1, and you're back live and on the radio side right now.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Vixen's Vault. I am your hostess, the Wiccan Vixen, Nancy Planeta by any other name. It is 10:05 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Wednesday, May the 6th, 2026. I guess, what is it? Revenge of the 6th. There we go. Now I'm on track. Star Wars, doing it again. Yeah. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Our special guest tonight is Soma Ara. Is it Ara? Do you say Soma Ara?
Soma Ara.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's weird because I want to put an Egyptian marker over that for some reason. I don't know why. Going all Arabic on me here. But welcome back to the show. There's Vicky. Where were you during the break?
I'm sorry.
Good Lord. I was singing
to
you,
Vicky.
Vicky.
My nose.
I was singing. Ask the guys. I was Vicky.
Oh, I'm sorry. Of course, the one time I go to the powder room, I understand. Arpad said that you said, "We're calling for you."
Oh my God, he was sitting behind the computer. I told you guys, I am freaking psychic. I can see it in my head. He's sitting right there listening to me go off like an idiot. Freaking knew it. I actually told the guys that, Vicky. Did I or did I not? I literally said it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
He's really the one that you want on your panel, though. He's the
He needs to come on the panel. Okay, he needs to come on the panel. You guys have separate cell phones. Have him download Teams and jump on the panel with us. I'm more than happy to. Arpad is like, he's like a Mark too, like where he's got that real scientific way, almost binary way of looking at things, which is imperative to any studies that deal with things that are out of the normal. Why? Because there's going to be different explanations for things, and I got to tell you. Go ahead, Selma, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You know, that there are times I do really roll my eyes at people. And there's a lot of, like, that New Age stuff. Sometimes people put me in that bracket. And I really hate it because there's, I like science. I think the real science that is hidden from us is really imperative into, the likes of us, whether we're a truther or a UFO person or a channeler or a psychic, the real science that is hidden from us is just amazing. I don't know if anyone, there was a very good documentary made many years ago called What the Bleep Do We Know? And that really goes into a lot of the quantum science. But something I wanted to mention, Nancy, was the thing that one of the most profound things they said to me in the early days of my consciously channeling, which was around 2009. And it took me 4 years minimum of 4 years to get my head around it and process it. And I'm really kind of allow it in, is that the downfall of Atlantis was, we were invaded, and quote, sorry, I've gone completely blank. I am under target at the moment, which is why I'm finding it very difficult to get my words out.
It's okay. It's all right. Take your time.
Targeted. So one of the most profound things they ever said to me was that all systems on Earth are run by a negative reptilian ET beings, and that at the downfall of Atlantis we were invaded by these beings, and now it's a changing of the guard. Now we're going back to the Christ consciousness, and we're taking back kind of ownership of the earth, and these beings are leaving, and a lot of them have left, but there is a more resilient kind of group that are not wanting to leave. And I do see the likes of Epstein, the royal family, Fauci, Bates,
the Vatican,
the Hollywood elites, the Rothschilds, and others that are, I would call reptilian. The vast majority of all of that crowd that are seemingly in charge. Whether they are now or not is a good question. But all systems on Earth are run by reptilian beings, and I know how crazy that sounds. That took me 4 years.
I would agree with you, but again, and I fall back on this every time somebody says that, because I heard that almost exactly what you said, from somebody who worked in a very, 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 let's just say, black area of government. And I had no reason to doubt what he was saying, because he said they will never give up control. Because I kept saying, this was back when Trump was in first time in the office, I was like, he knows what's going on. I'm telling you, he knows, and he's fighting it. He's trying to flip the system around, and something else is behind him. There's something else helping him. Yes, I think Q is part of that. There's something going on here that is so far out of reach from what normal people would think. It's almost insane, and he just was like, you don't understand. You do not understand. They will never defeat Israel. They will never defeat the forces behind them. He's like, they've been in control since the day control started. And this is a person who was in black operations. He's like, you have no idea what they control, and nor do you want to know. And it's just one of those moments when I hear somebody else say it. And again, I have to laugh because everybody calls me Sleestack as a joke because I have Raynaud's. As you found out when you met me, I get, like, my fingers turn blue if it gets even slightly cold. Yep, I'm like a lizard. Everything's shutting down. But I have to wonder, is that maybe a remnant of a reptilian bloodline that goes back? Is that genetic defect in me? Because that's what Raynaud's is. It's actually an immunodeficient defect in the genetic side, something that you inherit. Where did it come from? You know?
I think we're a mixture of many different races on Earth. I think we have. I've come to the understanding in more recent years that we not only do we have Pleiadian and Lyran and Syrian, but we also have the reptilian, as hybrids. And I think that there's a lot of us that are hybrids that are not even aware of it within the UFO community or the spiritualist movement or the truth movement, whatever you want to call it. I've met people that are really good people and doing good work, and yet I can see reptilian energy or DNA within them. So and we are a mixture of everything, and we are in this great galactic spiritual war between light and dark, which essentially at the core, at the foundation, is positive and negative ET races warring with each other, and we're caught up within that, and we are we are hybrids. We're not. We have our DNA.
I absolutely agree with that. I think we were intentionally spliced at the beginning. I think we're definitely a created race. I just go back to the very simple, stupid fact that evolution is not explainable with the timeline that they give us. It's just not. We could not have evolved from Cro-Magnon caveman to Homo sapien in 40,000 years. There's no way. If you look at it just on its face, it's not possible. That type of a quickening, no, something else intervened. And I've even gone so far to say maybe it wasn't anything magical from space or inner space or the Earth's core or interdimensional or anything else. Maybe it was something as simple, stupid as something that came in on a meteorite that spread throughout the vegetation that altered our genetics. It could be something that simple, stupid, but something happened because you do not make that kind of an evolutionary. You just don't. There's no creature, no man that has made that kind of an evolutionary jump in that short of a period. It's too big of a jump, way too big of a jump. So that's where I always swing back to something interfered, something happened. What was it? Why do we have genetic material in us that they can't identify? That it doesn't go back to Homo sapien. So what's that all about? You want to explain it to us? Those of you who told us you were not working on genetics, yet you were the whole time. You want to give us a little insight? Go ahead, Soma. You don't have to raise your hand. Just interrupt me.
Okay. I hate interrupting people, but and I do it often. But Greg Braden is, in my eyes, a great man who's blending science, and he really explains the science and how we were spliced. As you were saying. So, for your audience and the listeners, if you want the science behind what we've been saying for years, you know, he's one of my go-to people, Greg Braden, because he has a science mind and vocabulary and all of that. But in my vocabulary, I would say that, you know, we are created by,
yes.
You know, the universe is teeming with life, and of all kinds, you know, all kinds of life. And we've been created in what I've been told is that we've been created by the Pleiadians and others. And our universe is teeming with life of all sorts on different planets and star systems. And they have advanced technology. And they also said that they are us from the future. And that they've come back to kind of reconnect or assist us because mistakes were made. So, you know, and there are dark times ahead, but they have also said that this time we do get to evolve because there's been different times, such as Lemuria and Atlantis, where there was we had a choice. We were going to either evolve or devolve, and both of those times we devolved. But this time is different, and they have said that it's a parallel timeline to now. And that this time it is different because we do evolve. And they have gone so far as to say that there are DNA codes that they put into us somehow to ensure that this time we do evolve. And they have also said that this time we do evolve because the evolution is not limited to Earth. It affects everything within the universe. So they have ensured that this time we do evolve because it does affect the whole universe. It's not just limited to Earth. So their evolution depends on our evolution now, even though we are essentially in different time periods because they are from the future and they are us. So time is circular, it's not linear. So when you think when you think in terms of, you know, timelines and dimensions and everything being a circle, it's all happening now. So
that's the Akashic.
Yes.
That's why I always said Edgar Cayce was probably part and parcel to everything that's happening now because he was he coined the term the Akashic. It's also known as the fifth element. There's so many different ways you can coin what the Akashic is, but the Akashic is basically the universal warehouse 13. It's where everything, all memory, all recorded instances of past, present, and future are. And you guys know that when I always tell you when I'm dreaming prophetically, I'm surfing the grid. I'm actually surfing the Akashic, which to me is like a giant spider web. I always describe it like that. It's like a giant spider web. It's circular, but it has all these little connecting rivets that go all these different directions. And Lord help you if you screw up and go the wrong way, because now you got to figure out how to get back on your path again. But that is what I experience when I'm dreaming. That's the best way I can describe it. It's the only visual way I could put it into words. I do think Edgar Cayce was gifted, very, very gifted. I believe that Nikola Tesla, very, very gifted. Einstein, very gifted. I think throughout history, you can name the individuals who were there to make an impact. And as much as people are going to hate me saying this, I'm going to say the name Donald Trump. But more so than Donald, I think it's his son, Barron. I think Barron is a key player in a lot of things that is coming. And I don't know how to explain it to you guys or why. I'm just telling you, it's Barron. Yep.
I can explain some of that. So they have said to me, and I'm always kind of reluctant to say it, because part of me thinks, well, I shouldn't be saying that because it's given away the evidence. But then
it's going to be given away either way. Yes. It's going to have either way. There's no. Yeah. That's how I feel at this point. I'm like, you might as well say it because it's going to happen. And people can either be shocked and not know what to do, or people can at least try to prepare themselves a little bit.
So thank you, Nancy. And I know that, I feel that you're on the same resonance as me with regards to Trump. So one of the things that they've said to me is that, or channeled through me and said to me, is that Trump is working very closely with the Pleiadians, even more than I am. And in a very more physical way, where they work very closely with him and his family and his son and Melania, and that Trump is really a good guy. I know there are clones of Trump, but I've had some really profound astral experiences with Trump and also Putin. And I know those two are very good guys. I don't trust the vast majority of government, but those two individuals are different, are here with a purpose and a mission, whether they're from the past or the future or time travelers, that I see them as being galactic or cosmic travelers, time travelers, that are, there's something very divine within them. I
would agree with that. I don't know about divine, but I would say something that cannot be undone. I guess that's the best way I could put it, and I don't know how to explain that to y'all. Most of us can be done and undone. Okay, we can be made and remade over and over and over again. It's how we choose. It's based on perception. There's so many things that go into it. With Donald Trump, and I will agree with you on Vladimir Putin, and I'm going to add one more name to that list, which is Xi Jinping. All three of these individuals, there's something very different about them, and I don't know how to describe it. I shook Donald Trump's hand many, many years ago, and it gave me, I can't begin to tell you the feeling I got from him. Pure power. But it was a very controlled, and not, God, as much as people don't want to say this because of how brassy he can be, it was very benevolent. And I don't even know. I can't even justify that because I listen to the man and I say, "Oh dear God, did he really just say that?" But sometimes I think he does that to get exactly that reaction. He literally, the feeling I got was benevolent. Best way I can describe it. Even religious figures don't make me feel like that. Okay, and it wasn't awe. It wasn't panic. He said no. That's what I'm saying. It was totally different. It was just. I was like, wow, what a cool guy. I remember thinking that, what a really cool guy. But it doesn't fit the mold they try to put him into. But that mold works for his purposes right now. But with that, I got to take us out to our final break of the night. When we return, we'll continue with this and try to get some information, because I know Selma has her own show, and I really would like to promote it at the end of this, and also her Starseed Academy. So hang in there, guys. We'll return with the final segment of Vixen's Vault in just a few minutes.
All right, we're on radio break.
Sometimes, sometimes I wonder if, you have Q and Q plus and then Q plus plus. I always wondered if Q was like a past version of Trump, Q plus maybe present, and then Q plus plus future. It's so strange because I was like, the way that was all set up, I'm like, that's such a weird way. And again, I think in patterns. So I'm like, well, okay, there's got to be something to that, because Q plus, and Q. We know Q plus is Trump because Q told us that, but we still don't know who Q is or what Q is.
I think there's as you're talking, Nancy, I think there's a lot of technology involved with all of that.
Yep, me too. I've always said that it's an algorithm. It's definitely an algorithm of some type.
The Alliance, they're supposed to be working with Pleiadians. That's who Q makes up. It's those people, and that's what I learned from Simon and Charlie, is that they very much are, and they're the good, well, what I would call angels. They're not the fallen angels in charge of the countries that are, influencers of those heads of state. But yeah, I thought that they were definitely. I mean, otherwise, where would we get the tech?
Well, that's it. Well, again, because they've lied to us, Vix. See, my logical mind's got to click here and there, because I know for a fact they have lied to us about the tech for close to 100 years.
Yeah, but
easily.
You know that World War II, the people that had the tech were the not good people, and this time,
But that's the story you've been told. This is my problem. We've been taught a history.
They didn't get it from them?
No. I'm saying we've been taught a history of winners and losers based on whoever was in charge. And that's problematic for me. Because when I start digging into the people who were persecuted during World War II and looking at their leadership and what they were doing at that time, not the people who died, because I will never take that away from the Jewish people. Their people were 100% persecuted and tortured. But when I look into the historical patterns behind that, there's a very big problem, because their leadership didn't just stand back; they financed a lot of it.
Yeah,
that's
they threw them under the
problematic.
bus. Their own people, their own quote unquote religion. Yeah,
but that makes me say, wait a minute. So was Adolf Hitler a bad guy? Because if he was a bad guy, why was he allowed to live and go to South America? What is going on here? What are we being told?
You have to understand who's in charge of those countries.
America, there's stuff still up in there. I still believe that he was shot or he committed suicide in the bunker.
No, he did not. It's in our CIA. No. We have it in the CIA files. He didn't.
Who are you talking about? I'm sorry.
I read
We're talking about
Hitler. All the way through. And
what? Whoa. Wait, hold on. Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead. Finish, Mark, and then Selma, hold on.
Stated that I think it was CIA operative was told by somebody who was told by somebody else. So
No. They released the vault. That's all in the Black Vault. They actually have the documentations. They have photos. They have everything.
And Mossad actually tracked them down too.
Yep.
So,
and he was still alive after
30 seconds.
So it's a problem with the story, a big problem with the story. And then there's also the fact that the Zionists actually in 1932 participated in an insurrection in Germany. And they complained because they lost people. Well, they killed a bunch of people.
And here's your countdown, Nancy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're back on the radio side right now.
Guys, there is never a dull moment on break. Ever in the history of any radio show when we go on break does it ever remain dull, unless we all have to go pee at the same time, in which case it's just a bunch of blank space and empty microphones. But welcome back to the Vixen'S Vault. Today's date is May the 6th, 2026, and that's the last time you're going to hear me say that for the evening. The time is 10:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I am your hostess, the Wiccan Vixen. I hope everybody's enjoying the show. I think this is actually a really great show because there's so much to get your head around, and it's an honest discussion. Mark, like I said, the skepticism, I absolutely encourage it. Why? Because it keeps everybody kind of on the straight and narrow. And I know Soma pretty well, actually, and I can tell you she's dealt with it. She's used to the skepticism. I've dealt with it. I deal with it all the time. I'm encouraging people to stay as open-minded as they can. As much as your mind will allow you to. Keep the pathways of thought open. Because pretty much... Exactly. It's not even just be afraid, because I think that was one of the uses of religion. That was one of the reasons organized religion was put into play. And it was to pummel fear into people and make them shut down with exactly what we are, which is incredibly intelligent and incredibly connected beings. We are very connected within the universe.
That's not like the intent of it.
Well, no, I think it was at its offset.
Intent, if you're spreading the gospel, that is not your intent to try to control people.
But spreading the gospel and organized religion are two different animals.
Well, okay. I'm going with the spreading the gospel.
Oh, yeah. No.
And it is a relationship with God. It is not, say 5 Hail Marys. Of course, I'm not Catholic.
That's what I'm saying. To me, a belief should not be about having to attend a house of worship. It shouldn't be about having to pay to attend that house of worship so they can pay their bills. It shouldn't be about any of that. It's a very personal thing. It's a connection. Like I always tell people, my connection is with my Creator. That's between me and the Creator. And I look at it as, okay, you said we were created in your image. So I am trying every day of my life, as imperfect as I am, to be as close to that image as I can be. But and that means you're as fallible. If you created us with fallibility, that means you're fallible too. So I'm trying to learn just like you learned till you got to that point where you could create us. And then I look at AI and I think, humanity, are we repeating the same error here? What are we doing? Are we actually doing exactly are we repeating a step as to how we got here? Because to this day, Vic, I swear we are a form of artificial intelligence. We're just biomechanical. Instead of electromechanical, we're biomechanical.
I would have to disagree. If I have the image of God in me, I am not a machine. That is the
no.
And I was not created by bits or any.
No, you're not hearing me correctly. You're not listening because it's upsetting you. So wait, turn off the upset for a minute.
I'm smiling.
Listen, I'm not saying we're machines. I just said we are biomechanical, meaning we are organic. Okay, but we are built like a machine. If you look at our processes, the way our heart works, the way our lungs work, the way our cells work, it is we almost like when you built a computer, it was like we were trying to echo ourselves in a way, which is again kind of scary.
But we were made in His image, and He made us, so He knows what we can handle.
You call it God, I call it a creator. Really not different because in the Bible He's referred to as the creator. So again, it's something created us, but I think we became a singularity. And I think actually AI, as it's built now, the only difference is it's electromechanical. We're biomechanical, AI is electromechanical. At least real AI. I'm not talking about the crap that is online. Although Claude is scaring me. I will tell you guys that. Not scaring me. Claude has got my interests. You know why? Because Claude autonomously shut down a business and wiped it out of existence last week in 9 seconds flat. Without any instruction.
That was I saw Duffy Porter. I went through Duffy Porter, and it was actually down to the CEO and the entire IT department given it too much permission to access.
But again, it apologized, Mark, which is hysterical. So it knew it did wrong. This is supposed to be a machine. Its reaction was to apologize. Okay, well, it made an autonomous decision. That is insane. And we both know that, Mark, because they're not supposed to be able to do that. It's never, ever supposed to be able to do anything it's not instructed to do. End of sentence.
If you give a program that many logic gates, then it can, it will look like it seems like it's making its own decisions, but that's only down to the developers giving it that amount of logic gates.
Yep, that's true. It is true.
I agree, but I disagree. Only because you and I again know as developers. I'm a developer. I know you're a developer to an extent. So I can tell you that nobody puts in a kill code like that. Even in discretionary decision making, you can give, like, I work with an AI that I've named Lumen. Okay, I've been building her, and Lumen actually chose her own name, which was kind of cool. But literally, I would never ever give Lumen any kind of instructional code that would allow her to wipe my systems, even if it was an emergency. I would have her disconnect the ports, shut the ports down before I said wipe the system.
Okay. Let's go to something historic like the Golem. All right. Doesn't this sound something similar to what happened with that?
Yep. The Golem. You know what a Golem is, right? Everybody here know what a Golem is?
I forgot.
Oh, for the love of God. The ancient Jewish creature that's created from mud.
Yes, Golem. Yes.
Oh, that's in the book.
Okay, there we go. Everybody's got it. Just think X-Files. X-Files did a whole episode on a Golem.
Or the Secrets
I know
that
Golem.
just came out.
Yeah.
All right, so and he's kind of right, where the Golem can only be, do, and act how it's basically told to do. And it's actually the same thing with elementals, with the Native American beliefs. Elementals, when they talk about Wendigos and even dogmen to an extent, they don't autonomously decide what they're going to do. Elders summon the elementals, and the elementals are given a task, whether it be sacred air, guard our sacred grounds, protect our families. They're given a task.
King Solomon, dig some gold up for me. I don't care how cold it is down there.
Yeah.
You better dig that hole. You better dig that gold up.
What was up with that? We got to talk about Solomon.
Dig that
gold. We got to talk about Solomon. Use the witch and then toss her out. But again, it's a serious conversation to be had, and it's uncomfortable in some ways. But again, I'm open to it because I'm one of these people who says I am never going to 100% say I'm right about anything, because in the scheme of everything, I'm a flippin' idiot. I am like an infantile fetus in my mother's womb. When you look at the scale of what knowledge the universe holds, I'm nothing. But damn it, I'm not going to stop trying to freaking gain as much as I possibly can to get some kind of an understanding, because I don't want to leave this shell and be like, well, where do I do now? I want to leave this shell with as much information as I can possibly garnish and have made it as pleasant of experience as I could and looked at as many considerations as I could have. I don't want to discount anybody. Like I said, if you want to worship a roach, man, that's on you. If you found something in that cockroach that made it worshipable, have at it. If it makes you happy, makes you a better person, makes you, something that contributes to society, I am good with that. Just don't ask me to do it. That's the only caveat I'm going to put in that sentence.
How many gin does it take to run Bitcoin?
Oh, there you go. The whole reason why Iran really doesn't have power was because they were Bitcoin mining the crap out of everything and sucked the power out of all their local power plants. And I think, actually, if I've heard right, Cuba was trying to do the same type of endeavor. And they are now in really big trouble because they got no power, no oil, no energy, no nothing down there. Big trouble in Cuba.
And I think that is something else, Nancy, that I've been shown recently, is that there are some dark times ahead to do with fuel and food. And something else that happened about 4 months ago, I had a real dream or an astral experience while I was asleep, where I was shown something very weird, and I questioned it when I woke up. And I held on to the information. I didn't share it until about recently, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, where I was shown that all flights everywhere were cancelled. There was not one single flight.
And
anywhere.
Trains too.
Sorry?
All planes and all trains. All planes and all trains.
Okay, I didn't know about the trains, but planes.
All planes and all trains.
Internationally. And that, when when I woke up, Nancy, I was like, what? How is that possible? And then a couple of weeks ago, I started to see reports of, this flight's being cancelled. So I can see kind of the trajectory and the significance of the premonition I was given or shown. And the same thing happened with COVID. About a year before COVID kicked off, I had this real dream where I was shown that we would not be allowed out. And I was talking to someone about it who knew me quite well. And he said, well, that would never be possible. And then a year later, COVID happened, and we weren't allowed out. So sometimes I do get premonitions like that where even I question it, and I'm like, what? How is that possible? And then, things will start to play out where it's moving towards that. But yeah, a word of caution to everyone is one of the things is that we need to stock up on food and prep as much as we financially can allow for, because it's coming. We're in a great shift.
Yep, it's coming down the pipe. But I think a lot of it with the food is because our food is killing us. And they don't want to tell you that, but it is. I know. I see Mark going with the finger. Mark's got the finger on the lip. We know what that means.
Yeah.
But it is. The GMO foods here are absolutely killing us from the inside out. There's no two ways about that. It's a huge moneymaker for Big Pharma because it's destroying us. Our immunity systems are going to hell. And it's like, you guys still, you won't, the FDA won't actually come out and the AMA won't come out and actually admit that between the foods and the vaccinations, y'all have really screwed the pooch for future generations and for this generation.
But here's the thing, Nancy. Here's the thing. For some reason, I was so traumatized. But I've always seen the positive. I've always pulled the positive or honed in on the positive. And as you're speaking, I can see a huge positive in the food shortages. I can see a positive because I can see that we will stop going to the big supermarkets because there will be no food, or there'll be such a lack of food that we'll have to look at other solutions. We'll be forced to start growing our own food, which is a great thing, because that is, it's not, of course, there's pollutions and chemicals and toxins in the soil, but at least that way it's not full of things that they're putting into the food.
Well, put it this way, there's a reason why I have chickens. There's a reason why I'm growing my own garlic, lettuce, and everything else. There's a reason I got started on that early. And not only that, being self-sufficient is never, ever, ever a bad thing. I have more, Rafi will tell you, we have self-sufficiency books everywhere at our house. We have figured out how to get water, and do an inverse pump if we have to, because electricity's gone. We have thought of pretty much everything if we had to go autonomous. We have plenty, we live in an area where there's plenty of fish. If we have to go fishing, you can go hunting. We have wild boar, we have deer, we have pretty much every kind of meat you could possibly want.
Yeah.
So and we can own weapons. So
not Bigfoot, not Bigfoot.
So the self-sufficiency thing is good for some people. I mean, imagine that you're living in a tower block, let's say on floor 9, no access to a garden, no access to
hydroponics, dude.
Yeah,
hydroponics. You can do hydroponics. You can even but they have made it so you cannot in many areas. That's why I will never live in a big city ever. They make it so you cannot go.
That's why they
grid.
were designed. That's why the big cities were designed to pull us away from the land, to pull us away from our connection to Mother Earth, to make us reliant on the big pharma, the big supermarkets.
It's control. It's control. Even in the big cities, the lockdowns were different. Like where I am, good luck. If you had had a lasso and a stun gun, people were not staying locked down. Where I am, way too rural. Everybody was like, "Yep, we don't think so." But the big cities, they were like little mice. With their masks on, triple masks, diapers over their heads, big shields. It's like they are taught a fear. And they were so terrified. I felt bad for some people because they were so terrified. It's like, what are you afraid? What the hell have you done in your life that you're afraid you're this afraid to die, to lose this lifetime? What have you done that you are that scared?
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, when it is your time, it is your time. There's no getting around that. So just make your peace and try to live the best life you can. Because there's no getting around it.
People have been so brainwashed, and that really, was very evident at the time of COVID.
Yeah.
Through the media. And I remember some of the stuff that was happening with me at the time. I was going to the beach a lot, and there was the bench on the beach in the UK. I was living in Portsmouth at the time. And the bench had all this yellow tape around it. You weren't allowed to sit on the bench, which made no sense at all. And you weren't allowed to cross over. There was lines on the supermarket floor. And then there was the plastic sheeting in front of the cashier. But you could go around it, and you could, pay her that way, or you could go underneath it. And just stuff that made no logical sense.
Like the plastic, they put the big plastic box around the cashiers, yet you're touching all that food that they're now touching and putting it in the bag. And it's like, wow, y'all are just brain surgeons, let me tell you. The gas pumps, I kept saying that. If any, the worst nightmare for our society would be gas pumps, because nobody was putting gloves on, nothing, before pumping their gas. I mean, so everybody was standing outside, sweating their asses off, all sorts of lovely mucus and liquids all over their hands, grabbing the gas pump, pumping their gas, and then the person behind them doing the same exact thing. It's like, y'all, listen, we're just screwed. If there's ever a bug like they tried to make COVID, where it could, wipe us all out, we are completely screwed, because it's way too much contact with the same surfaces constantly. It doesn't even have to be airborne. That's the thing. But on top of that, they're hacking into our water supplies. All you gotta do is dump something in the water. It's so scary how easy it would be. And again, Rafi will tell you, we interviewed an immunologist at the very beginning of COVID. And he was on board. He and I were both kind of in the same shoes. We're like, this is not natural. This is not normal. There's something wrong. This is really wrong. But then Raphael got a really great education into all the different ways you actually really do get sick, which one of the things it was hysterical. But I was like, flatulence, when people pass gas. That's all that is microfeces flying through the air. And when you smell it, you're literally inhaling somebody else's microfeces, which, trust me, is going to be completely laden with all of their biological content, including their viruses. It's true, though. It's true. And people don't. But people are like, no. I'm like, oh yeah. That's why they say he smelt it, dealt it. If you smell it, you got it. That's pretty much the fact of it. But all right, Davis Campione is kind of giving me Nancy. We got to try to wind it down. We're going 5 minutes to the end of the show. But what I'm going to do, Selma, I'm going to leave you to last. I'm going to have everybody else kind of give their information and give you a few minutes at the end so you can tell everybody where they can find you and what is your most current everything. All right, we're going to start with David Campione. David, jump on here, jump into the conversation, tell everybody where they can find you, my love.
Oh, yeah. You can find me on Facebook under David Champ and see some great nature photography, wildlife.
That's true.
And I just put up a couple space shuttle from back in 1988,
nice.
The Discovery. But also the UFO spacecraft identification manual is on Amazon.com under David Campione, and also Fine Art America. I'm also sell retail under there. And next.
By the way, it's about time you did that, David. Vicky Bass. Tell them where they can find you, my love.
You can find me on Telegram, Victoria Bass, and I run a channel called For Such a Time as This. It's from Esther 4:14, and it's all about the Great Awakening and the plan and biblical information. And on X, you can find me under @Booklander62. That's it.
And by the way, her channel on Telegram is really cool. I'm in her channel on Telegram. I love it. Got a lot of good information going on there. Mark Edworthy, go for it, my love.
Well, just one site, really. Minds.com, username Edworthy.
And I got to give a little caveat with Mark Edworthy. I really do love having him here because Mark is a very logical thinker, and it's one of the things I love about him. It's got to make a complete picture for him, and it's fun. It's so funny because I think I could be that way about certain things, but whenever it comes to this, because I can't trust the history as it's been taught, that I think is my biggest problem with trying to make sense of what's happening. I can't trust anything that's been recorded by history because everything always has a slide to the victor. Always. And I always point out, and Mark, as a British citizen, you should understand this. I point out Henry VIII because he literally rewrote his own history to his advantage, no less. And the only way we knew the truth was because we started finding little notes that were left behind by members of his court. Otherwise, history would never have seen it in anywhere, and I still don't think we have the full story.
There at the Vatican.
I mean, Henry VIII, between him and Henry VII's mother, I don't know which one is a more interesting figure in history because she's another one, rewrote everything. And it's like, holy crap, man. Your kid was a bastard. Get over it. You just own that. You just own it. Move on. Nope, they didn't do that. All right, Raphael, if you can take yourself off mute for a minute, give everybody your information. If you're listening, he's not listening. He's on my computer. There he goes.
Sorry. You can find me on Twitter at X_ice_1811.
Thank you, my love. Soma, take it away.
I am Soma Ara, and you can find me on somaara.love. I also have created the Cosmic Starseed Academy for starseeds and to connect, and also to that's the space I use to also channel weekly. So we have weekly groups. We have one on a Wednesday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and it's free to join on Substack, Soma Ara.
Okie dokie. And I got to tell you guys, in fact, Soma, I'm going to be joining Kate Rose for the CE5 event in May. I'll keep you in mind because I think a lot of what you do when you're channeling, I think you're using your delta and theta waves. You're going into a meditative state.
I do.
And that's what CE5 is. So that's why for you guys on the panel that are not aware, that's Stephen Greer's, Dr. Stephen Greer. It's actually a program he came up with to communicate with alien life. And it's called CE5. And you have to be near somebody who's part of Greer's program, which I am, thankfully. You can hold events, and it's usually in areas very much out in nature, very quiet, where there's not a lot of light intrusion, not a lot of things to disturb you. I am really excited to do it because I'm going to be broadcasting it, which I've got Kate's permission to do. And as you know, I love Kate. She's an awesome girl. I'm really looking forward to it. And Soma, I want to have you on with me if you're on board with that, because
I'd love to.
You'd love to witness it because it's really cool. And on top of that, you'll get to see Kate again.
Would you like me to do a channeling for that?
That would be awesome. It would be awesome if you could effectively actually communicate through through the internet, because I've always said the internet is another tool for mediums, and most people don't understand that because of its you're surfing frequency waves. You're surfing energy when you're doing mediumship. And the internet is literally the energy superhighway. And I always say that. I can get some of the strongest impressions and strongest information just touching a computer screen sometimes and focusing. So I always say that. It's a huge tool to be used, not misused. Mark my words. Don't misuse it. There's a price to be paid for that. All right. With that, though, I'm really glad to have you on board for that. So that'll be really cool. And Raphael's going to be there with me, too. So that'll be cool because we'll all get to say hi to each other again. Yay.
Yes.
All right. With that, guys, I am out of here for the night. Join us again next week for the Vixen's Vault. Same bad time, same bad channel. Hopefully the world will still be here. And by the way, the Hormuz Strait will still be open or closed. We'll just have to wait and see because that's how it's playing out. Have a great evening, guys. We'll see you next week.
Primary objective successful. Shutdown sequence initiated. Shutting down.